Hello, beautiful beings. I just got up and I was going to go take a nap, and they're like, let's record a video. Okay. It's a new moon today. Hopefully I'll be able to speak okay. What are we talking about? Well, what's really been coming in today off and on is being with the signs, some of the signs that we are with a narcissistic partner. I looked some stuff up. I've been researching that kind of stuff for an incredibly long time, but the other day I asked some specific questions and I wrote down one of the answers that I got, and I thought that a lot of people would be able to relate to this. I asked, is it common for a narcissistic partner to put others before their wife, for example? And this is the answer I got. Yes, it is common for a narcissist to neglect their wife while prioritizing others. This behavior is a form of manipulation that serves the narcissistic need for validation from external sources while keeping their spouse emotionally dependent and controlled. This dynamic is part of the Jekyll and Hyde persona of many narcissists. Narcissists require constant admiration and praise, which is known as narcissistic supply. They will prioritize people who provide this, such as friends, colleagues, or even strangers, by being charismatic and charming to them. Yeah, that's one small example. I was talking to Opal earlier. We were just talking about how crazy making it can be to be around a narcissist. We were trying to just kind of sum up what a narcissist is like, what it's like being with one, being married to one, having been around one for many, many years. And we couldn't. We had to stop trying immediately. There's just no way to put them in a box because they use, for them it's survival, because they are more identified with the conditioned persona than I believe anybody on earth, because it was constructed to bring them a sense of safety as a child for one reason or another. That is what I have found the common thread of all narcissists is childhood trauma, specifically ongoing childhood trauma, or a major trauma. So they use survival tactics. You never know which one they're going to use, whatever serves them best in the moment. That's why they're hard to track. Because they also, that's just endlessly fascinating songs with Opal, because we dive into the deep end when the second we see each other. So love bombing has been one of the most confusing tactics that they use, but because it just feels so good, it just feels so good. Now that I'm becoming more and more, well, it felt so good, but I'm very, very aware now, more aware than ever. So that awareness, my own true natural state of being, is overriding even getting good feelings from being love bombed. And I used to kind of fight that feeling. I used to fight that I don't want to let go of certain conditioned aspects of my personality. Well, they're all conditioned, but the unnecessary, the stuff that's not here for my highest good, some of it is still hard to let go of. But once I let go of it, then I'm not even thinking about it, and then I am just the way I am. So I was holding a song with somebody yesterday or the day before, and she said she had a resentment against somebody. She was feeling angry towards somebody, and it's not right and it's not fair. And when I was first in AA, my sponsor at the time would say, you can stay angry for about 3 days. and we'll talk about it. But then after that, we need to like treat it with prayer for that person, or doing some of my steps in Alcoholics Anonymous, something to resolve it. She said, because holding on to anger will harden into resentment. I never forgot that. And I had learned that resentments were the number one reason why alcoholics and addicts go back to drinking and using. So I was so desperate not to drink again that I was willing to pray for people that I couldn't even imagine praying for. And so I brought that up to her the other day. I said, do you feel willing to, because we haven't talked about this for probably 6 months since I brought it up before. So are you feeling open and are willing to pray for this person for 2 weeks? And she said, well, this is just me being 100% honest with you. She said, oh, I said, because, my dad was the first person I ever started praying for when I first got sober. And there's just the feeling of compassion that started coming in was really quite profound to me. I didn't even think that. I was just like, I can't do this. I can't pray for him, because when I would go to pray for him, then I would see him in my mind, and it would just repel me. I don't want to. But it always came back to, how desperate are you to stay sober? I was 100% desperate to not drink. So my sponsor told me, you can start praying for him by saying, God bless that son of a bitch. And I just laughed until I cried. It was such a relief, because I could do that. I could definitely do that once a day for 2 weeks. Absolutely. I got to, I believe it was day 6, and I was feeling softer towards him. And they're saying one thing that a true champion does is we do things even if we don't understand how it's going to help, even up and against that resistance that I would feel inside of myself. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this at all. It would feel like I just felt so angry at times, like there was some type of battle going on inside of me. And there was. It was letting go of the old conditioned personal identity. And, so myself could shine through even more. So around day 6, I started feeling compassion. I didn't know what it was. I was describing it to my sponsor at the time, Nancy, and she said, I think that's compassion. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it is. It totally is. And I finished faithfully the 2 weeks praying for him, and I had started putting him into other prayers that I had learned in Alcoholics Anonymous. And it was amazing. Yeah, I had to treat that resentment against my dad many, many times. I haven't for a really long time, because I haven't felt resentful towards him for a long time. There's little, like if there's a full moon or a new moon and it kind of stirs up old dust, icky thought about him will pop in. I'm just like, that was fucked up, Dad. And this is always what I get. And I'm just like, it's okay. I'm over it. It's all right. Moving on. And, that is one way that I've been able to feel that way, that I actually got to feel close to him when he still had a physical form, is by doing the things that I had resistance against doing, but I knew that I trusted from the ones that it worked for, and that were suggesting it. It worked for them. Why wouldn't it work for me? They used to, what did we used to say in a circle? Keep coming back. It works if you work it, sucks if you don't. Yeah, that's the difference, is when I would be like trapped in my head, just in so much financial fear. There's an example. I would make myself sit down and write out just every single step, all 12 steps. And that was enough. And I would be saying the F word. I would be just cussing, doing it. It literally felt like I had to just force myself to do it. And I didn't realize that I was ascending at that point. I feel I've always been ascending, and I had no idea. And it's not as much of a battle anymore, but I see what the battle was, and it was worth every moment of it. So she said, this is me being 100% honest, because I had mentioned that yeah, after about day 6, I was actually feeling compassion for my dad. And she said, I am not ready to feel compassion for her yet. I was like, I get it. I totally get it. I just thanked her for her, just 100% honesty. And yeah, it's just wonderful holding satsang with her. So is that it, ancients? Did we talk about what we wanted to? Oh, some of the other clues that were with a narcissist. Narcissists, psychopaths, sociopaths, they have very similar traits. I don't want to go longer than 20 minutes, really, if I can help it. I'll go as long as the channel takes me, but it'd be nice to keep it at 20 because I tend to lose my attention span. My attention span is about 20 minutes, unless I'm super desperate, and then I'll listen for as long as I need to. Okay, so, so a couple summers ago when I, was hanging out with that guy, I wear lipstick like almost every single day of my life, and this lipstick lasts all day. It doesn't come off on anything. And that's how I met him, like wearing my lipstick. And he was always just so incredibly complimentary, love bombing me. But don't we all want to believe what somebody, like when they're saying nice things to us and about how beautiful we are and how attractive they are, all this stuff? Don't we want to believe that's true? And in the moment, it felt real. They're saying it's a mixture of, yeah, truth and manipulation. Okay, so that really explains a lot of it, because I'm just like, how did I get so fooled? It felt so real. Yeah, they're saying, yeah, once I knew when I met this person that he was he was a bad boy for sure. But, for some reason that used to be my type. And so, we're laughing, we're having fun. We're sitting on the couch. I'm straddling his lap, we're talking. He had just gotten here, and all of a sudden, he like pulled his head back and zeroed in and looked at my lips, and then went, like, got a disgusted look on his face, and he was just like, are you wearing lipstick? And my stomach hurt, and I felt insecure all of a sudden, and I felt like crying all at once. And I pulled back, and I was just like, and I immediately started explaining myself. I said, I wear this all the time. I was constantly befuddled and confused with things this person would throw out. It was to knock my legs out from underneath me, they're saying. Knock my feet out from underneath me. Keep me off balance. He would say things like, he'd mumble things under his breath a lot. And also, he slept over like 4 nights max. And I said, I have to get everything you need to say out now, because I'm going to wear earplugs. It's the only way that I can sleep. And I would just be getting my earplugs in, and he would say something. And he did it over and over. And I would get so incredibly frustrating. I see it all very clearly now. I wouldn't tolerate that for a second. I wouldn't even go there. Once I look at a man, I'm like, he's trouble. Yeah, he's a full-blown bad boy. No, I won't go there. And I know that now. So, but just the more about, maybe less about what they withhold affection. That's highly calculated. They're saying that a huge indicator if we are in a crazy making situation is that we will feel crazy. And the other person will be constantly trying to explain why it's rational, whatever it is that's going on. And also, they will a lot of times remain incredibly calm. Yeah, when we are like screaming or crying or just hysterical, basically, because they can make us feel so incredibly insane. Not just crazy, but just trying to track what they're saying and make sense of it. We can't. That's why it feels so crazy making. All of it is to bring us up into our head. All of it is about control, because that's what they thrive on. They have to feel, that's where they get their feeling of security, they're saying, is by having control over others, feeling better than others. This guy, he'd say things like, well, we all know you're not going to be a Buddha. And, there was loud music still playing into like 11:30 at night a couple summers ago, over through the woods there. And I was just like, holy shit, man. I was probably complaining because it was country. And he was just like, now, let the young ones have their fun. Just getting digs in there like that, but then at other times saying, oh my God, I can't believe you're not in your 20s. Yeah, the roller coaster. So if you feel like you're on a roller coaster, we would love to talk to you about that. See what comes through for you from the ancients. Also, I've learned just a ton about the signs, just to try to make not sense out of what they're doing, but making more the focus on how I'm feeling. Why do I feel sad all the time? Why do I feel drained? Why do I do this all the time? Why am I questioning everything? Why don't I feel peaceful? How come I don't laugh anymore? There's so many indicators that we are experiencing ourselves, that we, if we're listening to somebody else, listening to them gaslight us and tell us why we shouldn't be feeling like we are, or all the other reasons why we could be feeling like we are, but we know it's that person. It's being with that person. Yeah, I was married for 10 months once. 10 years the first time to, I have 3 daughters, their dad. And then the second time I got married was like 20 something years later, and that was only for 10 months. And I was just like, oh God, still got a broken picker. Anyway, so the last one, he was sitting on the couch one day, and I looked at him and I said, all you have to do is sit there, and you're draining the life out of me. I said, I feel like you have something very dark attached to you. And he looked up from what he was doing. He said, oh yeah, me too. I've always felt like that. Really? Oh, wow, thanks for telling me. And so I was telling Opal this morning, is that going to make the video go over really long? Okay, no. So I lived in 3 different places with the last husband that I had. I divorced him in 2012. It was actually 2013. The 4 or 5 days after my remembering experience with Muji, I left him. I literally, my vibration, it was like they're showing the cork at the bottom of the lake. My vibration from remembering was shot so high from where I had been just the day before that I literally could not tolerate being around him. Yeah, the vibrations, our energies were just yeah, I couldn't, thank God, I couldn't tolerate it. So anyway, the 3 different places that we lived together, there was these little tiny peaks that were starting to form on my ice cubes in the ice cube trays in the freezer. This is all obvious, right? And I was just like, what the heck is this? I didn't like the feeling of it the second I saw it. I felt like it had something to do with him. And he was gone for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. He was working in North Dakota at the time. And thank goodness, right? But no, I would have gotten out sooner if he would have been home 24/7. Anyway, 10 months isn't that. 2 years, 4 months total isn't bad for that lesson that I went through. It was actually quite quick. The second place we lived in together, the peaks on these ice cubes got higher. They stayed about the same level the whole time we lived there. Then we moved. The last place we were in together was only a few months, like maybe 6 months. And the peaks on the ice cubes were so thick and so tall that you could see that the water level had went down in the ice cube tray. I tried cold water, hot water. I knew when I saw it the last time. I opened the freezer up and I saw that. I couldn't breathe for a second. I just stared at it, and I just got wave after wave of like chills all over my body. And I knew it was him. And wow, if anybody has any idea like exactly what that is, please let me know. But it has never felt good when I think about it. So yeah, this is a new moon video. Not too happy and chipper, but I feel really great. I was the first one in line, as you see from my short. First one in line at Les Schwab to get my studded tires put on. That always feels really good. A man tried to crowd. There's like 8 people behind me in line, and he walks up and he goes to the other side of the door like he's going to start his own line. No, no, man, I got here at 6. No way. You got here at 7:45. No, it was like 7:30 actually. He got there, and I blatantly stared at him. Yeah, I just turned and looked at him, and I just kept staring at him. And he got so uncomfortable. He was just leaning up against the side of the door, like just waiting for him to open. No, that's not how it works. We all know Les Schwab etiquette when we're getting our snow tires changed. It's first come, first serve. If I'm going to be up that early, I'm going to be the first one. I've been the first one for years. Every time I have to go get that done. Anyway, so he moved away from the wall, and he walked into the parking lot in front of me, standing right beside my car. And he was just doing this little shuffle for the next half an hour. But, well, anyway, so I let like 12 minutes go by. And I said, and more people were showing up, adding to the end of the line. And I said, do you work here? And he's just like, no. I said, oh, I thought you were waiting to get into work, because the end of the line is back there, and I've never seen anybody like start their own line and then wait right outside the front doors when there's such a long line right now. And he was just like, he was very surprised that I was saying something. And he was just like, well, it's not like I'm going to cut or anything. I said, oh, you're not? Oh, good. That's so awesome, because I've been here since 6. And, I didn't have to be mean or anything, but in my life, I wouldn't have spoke up about something like that. The thoughts about it would have just kept picking up speed. Sometimes I can just let that kind of stuff go. I'm learning more and more discernment of when I need to speak up and when I don't. And it's important for me, if I've brought my attention back to presence. I was already listening to Simone JSR in my ears, watching the sun come up. And I was just like, yep, back to presence. Attention back to presence, not on that man. And I was actually able to forget all about him. And then I opened my eyes, and there he is shuffling around in front of me. He was like 5 feet away, 6 feet away. But yeah, I have a big energy field, so whatever. So it's not like he was a bad person, but I knew that it was unjust. They've been saying that word all day. It felt not right. But it was a pop quiz, and I was just like, are you kidding me? It's not even light yet, and I'm getting a pop quiz. I'm passing though. So we get inside, and I forgot about that guy for a second. I got up to the counter and la la la. I turn around, and that man is like 4th in line, 3rd or 4th. And I said, oh, no. He made eye contact with me immediately. I said, oh, no. I said, you are way back. Like, you're way back behind that guy with the orange vest on. And he was just like, oh. And the lady behind him said, oh, no, that's okay. I thought, man, you're working against me. This guy feels so entitled. Everybody watched him do it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Whatever. But okay, so the lesson I learned was the first time I said something to him, totally fine. The second time, it was none of my business. No, absolutely none. He didn't beat me in there. Like, he didn't take my place. So it's none of my business what's happening behind me. So that was a good lesson, because it doesn't feel good. It didn't feel good to say that to him. It felt awkward, and I was thinking about it too much. And that's my indicator. If I have reacted, it's because I'm thinking about it too much, and I feel kind of awkward, and man, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. And yeah, sure enough. So I'm fine-tuning that. And which is just beautiful, because more and more that means that any given situation, I'll pause for just a moment longer and go, wait a second. I'll actually ask myself that question. Should I say this? And the ancients will be like, no. But I didn't ask. I just reacted. So, but I did ask the first time. That's why it took like 12 minutes. But it took no time the second time. There's an indicator also that they're showing me one situation that I did react, but I had waited about 15 minutes before doing so. So that was an improvement for sure. definitely improvement. That was like 4 years ago now, so I've come a long way, baby. All right, so I haven't, it's so amazing because I've been up since 5:30, but I am feeling kind of tired. Duzer and I are going to take a nap, but I don't feel groggy tired like I would have if I would have been eating sugar. I don't, did I show them in my last video? I just got this tea. It's, it's magnificent. If you like the smell of natural grocers, that's what it tastes like basically. And it just tastes so earthy, and it has this really beautiful, it has turmeric in it, of course, but and ginger, but it has this such a beautiful golden yellow color to it. And it's so good. And I bought some stevia yesterday, and so I found that just a half a pack of one of those is perfect. It's so amazing how much honey I was eating. Yeah, yeah, that's fine. I'll be able to have honey again someday, but not for a while. Okay, I think that's it for now. Is that it for now, ancients? satsangwithmamaji@gmail.com. My hands are heating up. Whoever needs this, whoever needs this healing energy. Yeah, they're just showing me wherever you're injured, wherever you're hurting, just put it between my hands. Ocean, she's just like, I don't know if I can fit my whole body between there. We love you so much.